All right, I did a little research. Bob is a composer for film, theater, dance, and the concert stage. He has received an Obie Award for music composition and two New York Dance and Performance Bessie Awards. Really, it's such an honor, and for all of us to have him as in our Baba community. Wow, it's wonderful. As a friend. So, all right, Bob, I'll give it over to you. Thank you so much for coming.
Great. Well, my pleasure to be here with you all, and with Baba, of course. Yeah. What a blessing. And so I'll play a bunch of different pieces. We'll can have some time to talk if there's some questions or inquiries from people, or reflections on thoughts that arise. Let there be Jai Baba, everybody. So good to be here with you. I call that piece The Beacon. And of course, Baba is the beacon of life, of light. And I was wanting to, I've been inspired, of course, by visiting India and hearing the tradition of singing in India, which is, fantastic. Just to have a glimmer of that and inspiration is wonderful. So it's kind of inspired by that, has improvisational elements that a lot of Indian music has. So that's kind of what would you say? It's kind of, in the tradition of a devotional song. I'm singing your your praise in the morning. I'm singing your praise in the morning. I'm singing your praise in the afternoon. I'm singing your praise in the afternoon. I'm singing your praise in the evening. I'm singing your praise in the evening. I'm singing your praise in the middle of the night. I'm singing your praise in the middle of the night. I'm singing your praise every day of my life. I'm singing your praise every day of my life. I'm singing your praise every day of my life. I'm singing your praise every day of my life. Many of these songs I wrote in India. That one I wrote on pilgrimage. Heather Nadell had asked me to come and if I could play for a gathering of school children, and they were all gathered in Hostel D, the big theater. And she said it's about personal hygiene was the program that she was presenting to all the kids in Meerut and Erangel too that were coming. And so I adapted this song, it became, I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm brushing my hair, I'm combing my hair. I had a lot of different, so I substituted some words there. And it was fun. It was really fun to perform for this huge gathering of, children. So anyway, all these Baba inspired songs are adaptable to many different settings. And of course, Baba makes that all possible. What can we say?
We could use that. I could use that song. That's great.
Well, yes, absolutely. One should use it. Absolutely. I think that's absolutely Baba's intent. You are the one that I love. You are the one that I love. You are the one. You are the one that I love. You are the one that I love. are the one that I love. Are the one. You are the one, Baba, that I love. This is a piece I originally composed in a hospital, playing for a friend of mine who's in a coma. And my intention was to line up all the chakras and all the harmonic on the internet. Yeah, I just got it upgraded like 2 months ago, and of course, yeah. Anyway,
You're among friends.
this is brain meditation. It includes some overtone singing that Betty was mentioning.
Is this what you were saying, that you were singing to a friend with in a coma? Is this
Yes.
this is what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah. I started it in a hospital.
Wow.
Improvisational playing for my friend, and then I just kept working with it a little bit. But I wanted to line up all the frequencies, you could say, of the cello in my voice and the overtones. So that's kind of it occurred to me that was a way of reaching her through vibration, you could say, through just the resonance. So I was working with the resonance of my voice and the cello. I'm going to do 3 pieces together right now, kind of a suite. I call them Whitman, Rumi, and Shakespeare. And so I've taken the poetry from 3 historically acclaimed and renowned poets. I started with Walt Whitman, and the first piece is his poetry. It's called Subtle Electric Fire. And that would have been written, around 1860, probably, in New York. Then I'm going to do a Rumi poem, You Have Forgotten. And that would have been written around 1350, possibly, in part of the Persian Empire, which was actually Turkey at that time. And then that's called You Have Forgotten. That's Rumi. And then Sorrow's End is a Shakespeare sonnet number 30. And that would have been written, 1600, something like that, in England, London. So we have these poems from, all over the world throughout time. And yet, as I've, read them and become familiar with them, like Baba, they're all Baba poems. Maybe, I think, well, all poetry is, but these particular ones have a real Baba message. Oh, you, whom I often and silently come, where you are, that I may be with you, as I walk by your side or sit near or remain in the same room with you. Oh, you, whom I often and silently come, where you are, that I may be with you, as I walk by your side or sit near or remain in the same room with you. Oh, you, whom I often and silently come, where you are, that I may be with you, as I walk by your side or sit near or remain in the same room with you. Little you know the subtle electric fire that for your sake is playing.
Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo! No.
Did we lose connection?
Yes, this is the third time now. Yeah.
In New York City, no less.
Really? Really? And he just upgraded his internet. Well,
Anything can interfere, a baby monitor or microwave.
Yeah, that cut out at the end.
yeah, a bit, just a bit.
Yeah, so sorry. What can we say?
We'll carry on.
Just the last part of that. Oh, you whom I often and silently come where you are, where you You have forgotten the one who doesn't care about ownership. You have forgotten the one who doesn't try to take a profit from every human exchange. You have forgotten the one who doesn't care about ownership. You have forgotten the one who doesn't try to take a profit from every human exchange. You haggle and make jokes to keep what you own for yourself. You haggle and make jokes to keep what you own for yourself. You haggle and make jokes to keep what you own for yourself. You have forgotten the one. That was Rumi, and this next one is Shakespeare. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve of grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe, till o'er the sad account of fore-bemoaned moan, which I knew pay, as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. Okay,
Wow.
let me do one thing here. Excuse me. Yeah, here we are. Are there any questions, comments right now? You could take a moment.
How beautiful that you found the spiritual element in Shakespeare and Walt Whitman. And
Yeah.
how wonderful. Really,
Mm,
an old friend.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it's so beautiful when he's really, it's like Shakespeare, it's a lament, when to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. It's all regret until the last couplet where, but if the while I think on thee, dear friend, obviously it's the friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. So, that's Baba's presence, absolutely. And there's Shakespeare writing about it in the most eloquent way. So yeah, I just couldn't resist. And that's one of my newer pieces. I just did that this summer. I've been reading a lot of Shakespeare, but it's always a challenge to try to put it to music. It feels, because the language is so, what could you say? So pronounced and so specific.
that seems to be your thing, though, Bob, is putting words to, unusual words to music.
Well, yes, thank you. And I often use, like in brain meditation, there are no words. It's only resonance, and it's only ah or ooh or overtones. So I've done a lot of that too, where I'm just using the voice as an instrument. And I often think about that, the voice as the original instrument. And of course, the cello, is another beautiful instrument that dates from 500 years ago in terms of technology, which is phenomenal when you think of those northern Italians like Stradivarius and Guarneri, who are making string instruments impeccable. We haven't gotten better than that 500 years later. But of course, the voice is the original instrument. So I like combining the cello and the voice. And then, so I've written Baba words. For a while, I was, again, it's writing lyrics, but I was using, Baba has inspired me and given me license to write Baba songs. And that was really my first trip to India that, he turned the key for me on that. I'll do that next. Okay, I was going to say that toward the end, but there's a story with that, and I composed that, Your Life Is Not Your Own, in India. And I couldn't help but, think about Gary Kleiner, of course, who we just lost. But Gary was always there, when I visited Mehrabad, and was so friendly and instrumental in helping me just, navigate a way around. And of course, he was, working with Erich, and, so I remember we were in Mandali Hall, and Erich told a story about Kumar, who I know many of you know that story, where he's in prison, during the war, the World War II, and by the British, because he's been, agitating for independence. And he's in prison, and he says, or, some moment, and he relays the story, and this is via Erich. And Kumar says, he's an atheist, essentially. And he's saying, I'll believe in God if I'm released from this prison before, dawn tomorrow. And it's some outrageous statement, like, oh yeah, okay, right. I'll believe in God if, a miracle, you could say, happens. So lo and behold, the British get tired of holding him and some of these other people, and they release him at dawn. You just, shunted out on the street. You're on your own now. And so he says, okay, I've got to believe in God. And so he's got to find his way to Baba. And so it's a remarkable story. Erich is telling us in the hall, and it's just like, wow, that is unbelievable. So the next day, Gary invited me to join him and Erich for lunch or for tea. It was tea time at the trust office. And so I went in, and I think Karen was with me, my wife, Karen. And so we were sitting there with Erich, and I just had to say, or my question then, I had the moment and the possibility to ask, and I said, Erich, but that was an incredible story about Kumar, and what a sign he had. But how about some of us who are just, not maybe so touched by God or trying or striving? How do we know what to do? How do we know how to serve God? And Erich said, it's very simple. There are two things. You have to resolve to do it. That's number one. Resolution. You have to resolve to serve God. And number two, remember, your life is not your own. So I went back to Mehrabad and was sitting in my room with my cello and wrote this song. Your life is not your own, so just get used to it. You might not want to leave, but you've got to let go. Your life is not your own. Surrender now. Just when you're holding tight, you'll be asked to let go. Where we go from here, back into the universe. Maybe I'll see you there, flying among the stars. Your life is not your own, so just get used to it. You might not want to leave, but you've got to let go. Your life is not your own. Surrender now. Just when you're holding tight, you'll be asked to let go. Where do we go from here? Back into the universe. Maybe I'll see you there, flying among the stars. Your life is not your own, so just get used to it. You might not want to leave, but you've got to let go. Your life is not your own. Surrender now. Just when you're holding tight, you'll be asked to let go. Where do we go from here? Back into the universe. Maybe I'll see you there, flying among the stars, flying among the stars. Your life is not your own.
Bob, the question that you asked Erich was, how do we live our lives to serve Baba? Is that what you said?
Well, it was just in light of his story about Kumar, who has this sign, amazing sign. And I've heard other stories too of people who get these signs from Baba, and I'm like, I'm just a lowly person here wanting to serve God, wanting to serve Baba. How do I know how to do that? How am I supposed to know without that, that stroke that Baba is going to turn the key and say, "Here, there you go." And so that was my question. How do we know? How do we do it? And then his answer was, one, he said it's easy. There's just two things. One, resolve to do it. And two, remember your life is not your own.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So I was fortunate. And again, I'm indebted to Gary Kleiner for inviting me to that tea and having that, that intimate time with Erich. My goodness, what a blessing. And then it happened to follow the day after Erich was in the Mandali Hall at Marazad.
And then Baba knew you were going to do this for us, and then we could all hear it.
Yes. Well, it gave me an opportunity to, I guess I was too, timid at that time to ask a question in Mandali Hall. But I had that intimate time with Erich where I felt I could free to ask, and he gave me that gift of that answer. So, yeah, and the gift of the song. So,
we just
yes.
last week had a really nice program on Gary Kleiner. I could send you the link. It's
Oh, good.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I heard about that. I guess I was traveling, but great.
Make sure you
Yes.
get it. Yeah.
Yes. And there's a wonderful link through the LA Baba Center where Gary gave a talk in, in early 2005, maybe, about Erich. And it's wonderful. I happened to watch that recently. But everybody look for that. It's in the LA or, the Southern California
Archive.
Baba Center archives. And you can, I'm sure, find that. It's beautiful. He really talks about his journey and going to Mehrabad and serving Erich particularly. Yeah. So, in fact, one of my trips, I was in India, and when I arrived, this is the tragedy, of course, but it was, Heather and Eriko were in the hospital. And then when I arrived, and so, everybody was, shocked and everything. Eriko, during my stay there, Eriko passed away. And luckily, and Baba's grace, Heather, survived. But I wrote a suite of pieces, 5 pieces for Eriko, who again, was so welcoming and such a, what a presence. And I'll just do 2 of those. First one is called Lamentation, Be with God. And the second one is called Eternal Kiss. God. Be with God. Be with God. Be with God. Baba, oh, may Baba, oh, with God. Be with God. Be with God. Be with God. Erico, 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 with Baba in eternal bliss, and from beloved Baba an eternal kiss, a 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 kiss. Erico, 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 you are remembered in each and every heart, filled with your loving, even though we part, though we part, though we part, we part. Erico, 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 Erico.
Wow, what a salute to him. You, wow, that was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we know the energy he brought to Baba was, yeah. This is a piece.
I thought for a minute we weren't hearing. Well, that
Am
was
I there? Yes. This is the one I wrote for a theater piece. And it was about a group of, the theater piece was about these were refugees from Rwanda who was settling in Iowa. But they're waiting for, this is when they're still in a refugee camp in Tanzania, I believe. So the story was their story about finding their way. And I thought it, metaphorically, it's all of our stories, waiting to find our way closer to Baba. And this section of the piece is called Waiting. So this song is called Waiting.
How did you get the inspiration to to write a song about that situation? About the how did that happen?
Well, again, inspiration can come from so many different places, obviously, personalities, stories. I was thinking about waiting, the nature of having to wait, and that you wait and you wait and you wait. So a lot of emptiness. But that as the time approaches, it speeds up a little bit. Anticipation, and then it's finally, and in a way, suddenly comes when it happens. When the moment, okay, now you have your passport. Now you can go. Now you can whatever. So I was just thinking about the aspects of waiting and the patience that demands, I guess. So I wanted to put space in there, and so almost you have to wait for the next phrase of music to come. So that would be a way I interpreted that. And that's often for dance or theater or film. Even I'm working on a film presently about the Lebanese Civil War, which is historical story, happened from 75 to 90 or something like that. It was a long, protracted war, and it's a sad tale. But again, there's imagery, there's stories there that inspire the music in that case. This is one I just wrote for an audio book of Brian Selznick, and he's mostly known as a children's book author. He's written beautiful books. He wrote Hugo, which was made into a film a number of years ago, about a boy who lives in the, I think it's it's one of the train stations in Paris. Historical story. Hugo.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. So many of you might be familiar with that. So he's written a book last year, Kaleidoscope, and it was made into an audio book. So they wanted music, and I did some music between the sections. This is one of them I did, and I called it Melrose because I was visiting friends and walking on Melrose Avenue when the idea came to me.
Your connection's not your own, better get used to it. And when you're just enjoying, you just have to let go.
He'll get a laugh out of that when he sees this.
It's kind of perfect. Yeah. You know, because it's all about longing, huh?
Oh, dear.
All right, it's my internet, and I'm very apologetic for it. It's never been this bad, but what can I say?
We like it. We like it.
It gives Rosalie a chance to
Finish.
signal.
To finish Melrose. Baba. I have a moment. I'm still here. Any questions or thoughts?
Was there another one to go with Melrose or no?
Yes, there's a series. Yes, there's a lot of music. That was just one of the interlude pieces I wrote, and then I used theme and variation. So there's a version with clarinet, and there's a version with harp, and there's a version, with I forget what else. So I did many different versions of that theme. So, and they would come as little interludes between the chapters as they were being read. Kaleidoscope, it's called, by Brian Selznick.
Bob, J. Bob, it's not your birthday close.
It's close. It is close. Yes.
Scorpio close.
It's very close. Actually,
Yeah.
tomorrow is my mother's 101 birthday. So bless her heart.
Is
I was
she-
just there to see
Wow.
her a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my goodness.
She's living in Minnesota and doing great, at 101. So
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, God love her. Oh,
yeah,
that's
bless her heart.
Well, happy birthday to you too.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
Bob, I wanted to make a comment about you mentioning your music in the hospital with your friend.
Yes.
I just want to tell you that, of course, you already probably know this, but I think that's the most powerful medicine when someone is in that state. Besides standing there or praying Baba's name, which of course you're doing when you're playing, but I think that everything's energy, and the energy that goes into this person and their soul, and they can hear it. And who could not listen to that and not be healed on some level, even if they do pass away? So I just want to applaud you and encourage you. I know you don't have any time, extra time, but boy, that is a really loving service.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I have done a lot. For many years, there's an organization here in New York called Hospital Audiences. And there was funding for performances in, psych wards all over, hospitals. So I, got in practice, and I tell my students, because I'm teaching often, that you never know where your performances are going to be. I've had the fortune to perform at Carnegie Hall and Mandali Hall, as I always say, two of the premier halls in the world. And yet you can't expect that every performance will be at those, pristine and, illustrious halls. Some may be on the street, some may be in hospitals, some may be, you're going to be in schools. I've done so many school performances. So I'm really an advocate for that. And every time I do go to a hospital, that the sound of the cello and my voice, of course, but the cello in that atmosphere is like, oh my word, you hardly have to do anything other than, and it's stunning because it's in this, other world that is so, not of that. So, yeah. Thank you. I've been heartened by the response that I've gotten, and gift the Baba to be able to share this music. And I tell my students that same thing. Art is about sharing, no matter what it is. It's visual art, it's music, it's dance. It's all about sharing. It's about connection. Why else would we do it? And Baba is giving me that, that kind of push in that way to emphasize that. Don't think you're just doing it for yourself at all. Don't ever even, yes, you have to do it and you have to enjoy it, and that has to be part of it, but you've got to share it. It's your responsibility. That's my latest thing, is you have a responsibility. If you have this talent and you have, a sense of artistry or life, you absolutely have a responsibility to share that with others. And that's where you have to resolve to do it, and your life is not your own, comes into play, because you have that responsibility, is my feeling right now. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's an amazing advice. Thank you. I need to hear that. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jay
Beautiful
Baba.
concert. Beautiful concert. Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you for sharing. That's just what a delight.
Wow, good. I'll do a few more if we got time still.
sure. We have time. If you've got the energy, we have time. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got a suite of Rumi poems, which I did one earlier. That don't. That was You Have Forgotten. But I'll do a couple of Rumi poems set to music. I think I keep working on more. And I have some more Walt Whitman. One of my last performances here in New York was from Song of Myself by Walt Whitman, which again is very, very Baba inspired. He's kind of, Whitman is enveloping the entire world in a way, all the people. And he's so inclusive in that way, Whitman. But this will be Rumi. And let's see. I'll do a few. Hopefully my internet hangs in there. This is Don't Grieve. happen. Keep disasters from happening. Don't grieve, don't grieve, don't grieve for what doesn't come. Some things that don't happen keep disasters from happening. Live in the nowhere that you came from, even though you have an address here. Live in the nowhere that you came from, even though you have an address here. Don't grieve, don't grieve, don't grieve for what doesn't come. This is another Rumi, Time Passes. Here in this world, here in this world, time passes. Here in this world, here in this world, time passes. Time, 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 time passes. And what we do, everything that we do is our companion, is our companion. Time, 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 time passes. And what we do, everything that we do is our companion, is our companion. Time, 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 time passes. another roomie, out beyond. Out beyond this place. Out beyond this moment. Out beyond this place. There is a field, I will meet you there. Out beyond wrong and right. Out beyond this moment. Out beyond wrong and right. Even the phrase each other makes no sense. Even the phrase each other makes no sense. And when the soul lies down, the world is too full. The world is too full. For words. For words. For words. Forwards, out beyond wrong and right, out beyond this moment, out beyond this place. There is a field, I will meet you there. Is a field, I will meet you there. There is a field, I will meet you there. There is a field, I will meet you there. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba.
I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. For sure.
Yes, thank you.
I wanted to mention to you, you brought to mind, Inayat Khan wrote a volume on the mysticism of sound and music, which talks
Yes.
about vibration.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having my students read that right now. And yeah, it's amazing. He just talks about the vibration of sound, as its fundamental sense. And then all sound, and then particularly he focuses on the singer, who is, the embodiment of these vibrations. And it's just beautiful. And toward the end of it, he says, you don't have to be a so-called singer. And I encourage, because I'm teaching singing classes, and I know a lot of you have taken some of my workshops at different places in Baba gatherings. But you don't have to be a professional singer. You don't have to want to sing, to be able to sing, to do it. And Anaya Khan reinforces this toward the end of that book, The Mysticism of Sound and Music. He said, all you have to do is open up your mouth, start making sound, do it, and do a little bit each day, and do a little bit more each day. And then you're going to find yourself a singer. And it's, what it holds for you is the reward is in itself in that way, singing. Because you're getting this air and you're getting this vibration, literally. And he's, really mentions that. And of course, he wrote that probably in the 20s, it was taken from lectures he gave, but it's really probably in the 20s, 30s, possibly. So, we're talking 100 years ago. Yeah. So thank you for mentioning that book, Betty. Inayat Khan. It's just a beautiful book.
It's eternal. It's eternal wisdom.
Yes. Now he really taps into that. Yes. And are there questions, thoughts?
I think here on Zoom, a lot of us, me included, have become, at first we were scared to sing. We would our voices were kind of whispery and wavery, and then we've kind of found our voices. I think that's true of a lot of us because
I think that's true for everybody, and it reminds me of Baba's quote. It's like everyone is an atheist until he has a moment, he or she has a moment of, realization that God is around, that there is a spirit. And it's that way with voice. It's like, we're all afraid to resonate, to sing. I'm in an apartment in New York, and sometimes I'm, I'm looking around my neighbors. What are they going to think when I go, oh? And yet, it's wonderful, So again, everyone is a singer. It's the original instrument. There's not a child in the world who doesn't sing. We all sang. And as we grow up, as we, our voice changes, we change. And we're often, the other thing I often address with my singing class is, does anybody have stories that might have affected how they think about their voice? And you get a long litany of, oh yes, my mother told me my sister was a singer, I wasn't. I keep my mouth shut. The choir director said I could be in the choir if I mouthed the words and didn't sing, So everybody has some story, it seems to me, about, and then we carry that. That's the other thing. We carry that with this weight that, oh yes, I was told I wasn't a singer at age 12 or whatever. But, we can let that go. And so anyway, that's also another part of it, that there's a mental construct around it, that we need to let go of that to free ourselves to be able to make the sound. And singing, the other beautiful thing about singing, it's very generous. Its very nature is generosity. You can't feel tight or miserly about your voice and make sound. That doesn't work. How am I supposed to do that? You cannot do that. So there's two things. You have to forgive yourself before you even make the sound, and you have to think it's generosity. You're going to share it.
Yep. As you
Bob, I just have an affinity for the mystical language, and I wanted to share this one sentence. And in the mystical language that Baba spoke through Narina Machabelli, it talks about it's a vibratory transmission. But this one sentence, he's just speaking of himself as avatar. One sentence, it's so beautiful. Give me 1 second of your whole existence, and I will give you more of that which I have to give, and which I am giving unendingly in every ordinary and extraordinary way of me as a human, selfless servant of mankind, as love.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Bob. This has been so wonderful.
Well, why don't I finish with one piece?
Awesome.
And this is called A Lighthouse. And I originally wrote it for a theater piece I was doing with a group up in Hartford, Connecticut. And it was, her piece was called Lighthouse. She was inspired by the many lighthouses in New England, particularly. But of course, they're all over the world and East Coast and you know, one of the original lighthouses was Alexandria, the one in Alexandria, Egypt, was supposed to have a fire on the top, signaling ships. That goes way back to pre-Roman times. So the lighthouse as a metaphor is, you know, is beautiful. So I wrote this piece, Lighthouse, and again, thinking of Baba as the ultimate lighthouse, the beacon. And I'm always reminded of Bal Natu in his beautiful book about the Star of Infinity, about the Samadhi. Says how that finial on top is like a beacon, sending out love and light and, you know, on the top. So this is Lighthouse.
Bob, we're not hearing. Bob, is your original sound? I might have gone off. We just weren't hearing it for a minute there.
Okay. Musicians off. No, it should be on.
Okay, I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, is it my, you hearing that?
Now it's good. Okay. Show me the light and guide me through darkest night. Show me your light and guide me through darkest night. Show me your light and guide me through darkest night. Alleluia.
Baba.
Avatar Mir Baba. DJ.
Avatar
DJ. Avatar.
PJ.
Avatar.
Jay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
That was so
you.
all.
Thank you so much. Bravo, bravo.
Beautiful.
Oh
Baba.
my goodness.
Jai Baba.
Oh. Oh, I'm glad you're sharing the light, your light.
Mm.
Oh, wow. It's
Robert,
Baba's lights.
Robert, can we all move in with you?
Pardon?
Can we all move in with you?
Yes. 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 You're all in my heart anyway. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Mm.
yeah.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to seeing so many of you, different places now that we'll, see each other in person. But this is another miracle of technology and of Baba, obviously, of Zoom, that here we are seeing each other in all these disparate corners of the world. So,
Mm.
yeah. It's not the same as in person, but hey, boy, it's really something. It's really something undeniable.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
many
Yes.
comments in the chat. I'll send the chat to you as well.
Okay, that'd be great. Would love to. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see most of those.
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to that.
Mm.
What a
Yeah.
time. Thank you.
So have a blessed day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Thank you. You as well.
Baba's grace. All right. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.